Have you ever wondered if you could master your thinking to shape your reality? It's a question that dances on the edge of our consciousness. A tantalizing idea that suggests the possibility of a life sculpted by the power of thought. Imagine for a moment a world where our thoughts are the chisel and reality is the marble. Each thought is a stroke of the chisel, carving out the contours of our existence. A world where mastering our thoughts is akin to mastering the chisel, allowing us to shape the marble of reality into the masterpiece of our choosing. Now let's give life to this concept through an age-old tale. We have two characters in our narrative, a wise Zen master and his eager disciple. The Zen Master, a beacon of wisdom, will guide us through this journey, while his disciple, full of curiosity and the thirst for understanding, will serve as our proxy, our eyes and ears in this exploration. The Zen Master, with his profound wisdom, has mastered the art of shaping reality through his thoughts. His disciple, on the other hand, is still grappling with the concept. He is intrigued yet perplexed, a mirror of our own curiosity and confusion. Our story unfolds in the tranquil setting of a Zen monastery, where ancient wisdom echoes through the silent halls. And the quest for enlightenment is a way of life. It's here that the Zen Master imparts his knowledge, and his disciple absorbs, stumbles, and grows. Together, they will navigate the maze of the mind, confront the chaos of thoughts, and strive to harness the power that lies therein. The Zen Master's teachings will illuminate the path, but it's the disciple's journey that will bring the concept to life. This tale is not just about the Zen Master and his disciple, it's about us, our minds, and the untapped potential that lies within our thoughts. It's about the power of mastering your thinking and the ability to shape reality your way. So join us on this journey of wisdom and discovery. Once upon a time, a young disciple was struggling with his thoughts. He was a diligent student, a seeker of truth, but his mind was like a tempestuous sea, teeming with waves of thoughts that threatened to capsize his tranquility. Every thought, every idea, every fear seemed to have a mind of its own, pulling him in different directions, leaving him disoriented and confused. The disciple found himself lost in the labyrinth of his thoughts, constantly questioning his place in the world, his purpose, and the nature of reality. He felt like a puppet, controlled by the invisible strings of his relentless thoughts. His mind was a wild horse, untamed and uncontrollable, galloping towards a horizon of uncertainty and fear. He found himself wrestling with thoughts of the past, of mistakes made and opportunities lost. He was haunted by the specter of the future, of the unknown and the what-ifs. His present, the here and now, was eclipsed by the shadows of the past and the future. He was a prisoner in his own mind, shackled to his thoughts, yearning for freedom. The disciple's struggle was not merely an internal one. It seeped into his actions, his habits, and his relationships. He was often absent-minded, his attention hijacked by his thoughts. He found it hard to focus on his tasks, his studies, even his meditation. His mind, instead of being his ally, felt like a formidable adversary. The disciple's struggle was like a tug of war. On one end, his desire for peace and clarity; on the other, the chaotic symphony of his thoughts. He felt like he was losing his grip, being pulled into the vortex of his mind's turmoil. Amidst this struggle, the disciple remembered the Zen Master's words, "Your mind is a powerful tool. Master it, or it will master you." The disciple, feeling hopeless, decided to seek the Zen Master's guidance. He yearned for tranquility, for control over his thoughts, for the power to shape his reality. He yearned for mastery. The Zen Master, upon hearing the disciple's plight, decided to offer him a challenge. With a knowing smile, the Zen Master handed his disciple a worn-out basket. The basket was riddled with holes, each one telling tales of a bygone era. He then gestured towards a serene stream nearby, its water gleaming under the morning sun. "Your task," he began, "is to fill this basket with water from the stream." The disciple blinked in surprise, studying the basket and then the stream. He was puzzled. The task seemed impossible. The basket was full of holes. Any water he put into it would simply leak out. But he didn't question the Zen Master. He trusted his wisdom and knew there was a profound lesson to be learned. The Zen Master watched as confusion clouded the disciple's face, but his smile didn't waver. He knew this task would seem impossible at first, just as it often seems impossible to control our thoughts. But he also knew that with patience, persistence, and a touch of creativity, the impossible becomes possible. He left the disciple with one last piece of advice before sending him off. "Remember," he said, "it's not about the water staying in the basket. It's about the act of filling it over and over again." The disciple, though he didn't fully understand the words of his master, took them to heart. He knew that the Zen Master had a reason for this seemingly illogical task. He was determined not to disappoint him. With the basket in his hands and determination in his eyes, he turned towards the stream. He was ready to face the challenge, ready to delve into the mystery that the Zen Master had presented him with. He was ready to fill a basket full of holes with water, ready to master his thoughts and shape his reality. Confused yet determined, the disciple set off to complete his task. The disciple spent days trying to fill the basket with water, but to no avail. Our young student toiled under the sun, his skin glistening with sweat, his hands raw from the coarse straw of the basket. He rushed back and forth between the river and the basket, his heart heavy with the weight of an impossible task. The river, a symbol of life's constant change, flowed relentlessly, its waters seeming to mock his futile efforts. He scooped handfuls, then armfuls of water, but the moment he'd lift the basket, the water would seep through the gaps, leaving him with nothing but a damp, empty vessel. As the sun dipped into the horizon each day, the disciple would gaze at his empty basket, his heart echoing the emptiness he felt. His thoughts began to swirl like whirlpools, pulling him down into a sea of self-doubt. "Am I not good enough?" he'd wonder. "Is this task beyond my abilities?" His dreams were filled with visions of a filled basket, only for him to wake up to the stark reality of his failure. The basket, once just a simple tool, had now become a symbol of his inadequacy. He felt like he was trying to hold on to the wind, an endeavor as fruitless as his attempts to fill the basket with water. His determination began to wane, crushed under the weight of his unsuccessful attempts. He could taste the bitterness of failure on his tongue, a flavor far too familiar now. His spirit, once alight with the fire of determination, was now just a flickering candle, threatening to be extinguished by the gusts of defeat. The disciple's struggle was a testament to his perseverance, but even the strongest of warriors can be worn down by a battle that seems unwinnable. His shoulders slumped, his eyes mirroring the defeat he felt. He decided it was time to return to the Zen Master. Feeling defeated, the disciple returned to the Zen Master. His journey back was not one of triumph, but a walk of shame, with the empty basket serving as a grim reminder of his failure. He had given his all, yet it was not enough, or so he thought. The Zen Master, seeing the dejected disciple, decided it was time to reveal the lesson. With a gentle yet firm voice, he began, "My dear one, do you see the water seeping out from the basket? Notice how it slips through the holes, leaving the basket empty once again." The disciple, confused, nodded silently. The Zen Master continued, "Now consider this, our minds are much like this basket, and our thoughts are like the water. If we do not hold on to them, if we do not give them the attention they deserve, they too can slip away, leaving us feeling empty and unfulfilled." He paused a moment, allowing his words to sink in, then went on. "However, it is also crucial to understand that not every thought deserves to be held on to. Some thoughts, just like the water, need to flow through the basket, cleansing it, keeping it fresh. If we try to hold on to every thought, the basket becomes too heavy, too full. It loses its purpose." The Zen Master looked at his disciple, his eyes full of wisdom. "The key then is to discern which thoughts to hold on to and which to let go. This is the true task I set you. The water, the basket, they were but metaphors. The real challenge lies within your mind." His voice softened as he concluded, "Remember, it's not about the basket being full or empty, but about understanding the flow, the ebb and tide of thoughts, and how you choose to interact with them. This, my dear one, is the art of mastering your thinking." The disciple, his face showing signs of realization, nodded slowly. He finally understood the Zen Master's lesson. It wasn't about the physical task, but the mental discipline. It was about understanding that he had the power to shape his reality by mastering his thinking. The disciple, With newfound understanding, thanked the Zen Master and promised to practice this lesson. His journey towards self-mastery had indeed begun. With time and practice, the disciple started mastering his thoughts. It was not an immediate shift, rather, it was a gradual process, like a river carving its path through a mountain. He began to understand that his thoughts were not him, but merely whispers of the mind. He learned to observe them, to question them, and eventually, to control them. He discovered that he could choose which thoughts to entertain and which to dismiss. He realized that he had the power to shape his reality by consciously directing his thoughts. His understanding of the Zen Master's lesson deepened with each passing day. He started applying this newfound knowledge in every facet of his life. His relationships improved as he learned to respond rather than react. His work flourished as he focused his thoughts on creativity and productivity. His mind, once a stormy sea of thoughts, became a tranquil lake, still and serene. His transformation was gradual yet profound. He was no longer a puppet to his thoughts, but the puppeteer. He could steer his mind and thus his life in any direction he wished. Every day he practiced, every day he learned, every day he grew. His journey was not without its trials and tribulations. There were times when he faltered, when his old patterns of thinking threatened to take over. But each time, he returned to the Zen Master's lesson, and each time, he emerged stronger. His transformation was not only visible to himself, but to those around him. People started noticing the change in him. They saw a man who was calm, composed, and in control. They saw a man who was no longer a victim of his thoughts, but a master of them. And so, the disciple, who was once overwhelmed by his thoughts, transformed. He transformed not by fighting his thoughts, but by understanding them, by observing them, and by mastering them. The disciple, once overwhelmed by his thoughts, was now in control of his reality. The disciple's transformation is a testament to the power of mastering one's thinking. It's not simply about acquiring knowledge or learning new strategies. It's about understanding the power of the mind and harnessing it to shape reality. How we think is how we perceive the world, and how we perceive the world is how we respond to it. The disciple's journey unveils this profound truth. Consider the metaphor of a potter shaping clay. The raw, unformed clay represents our reality, malleable and full of potential. Our thoughts then are the potter's hands, guiding, shaping, and ultimately determining the final form. The disciple, once a lump of clay, allowed his mind to shape his reality, and in doing so, he underwent a transformation. The Zen Master didn't provide a quick fix or a step-by-step guide. Instead, he offered a more profound solution. He taught the disciple to master his thoughts. It wasn't an easy task. It required effort, patience, and self-awareness. But the disciple persevered. He learned to navigate the labyrinth of his mind, to identify and question his limiting beliefs. He learned to replace them with empowering ones. Remember the disciple's initial struggle? His reality was a reflection of his chaotic thoughts. But once he learned to master his thinking, his reality changed. His challenges didn't disappear, but his perception of them did. He no longer saw them as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. His reality became a playground for his potential. The Zen Master's wisdom resonates with a universal truth. Our thoughts shape our reality. The disciple's transformation is a testament to this. His journey is an invitation for us all to embark on the path of self-mastery. It's an invitation to recognize and harness the power of our thoughts to shape our reality, not as victims of circumstance, but as creators of our destiny. So, are you ready to master your thoughts and shape your reality? Now that you've seen the power of mastering your thoughts, what will you do about it? This is not a mere rhetorical question, but a challenge, an invitation for you to take control of your life's narrative. The path to thought mastery begins with awareness. You start by recognizing the thoughts that swirl in your mind. Are they empowering or limiting, positive or negative? Once you have this awareness, you can start to gently guide your thoughts in the direction you desire. Next, practice is key. Just like the disciple in our story, it won't be easy at first, but don't fret. Progress is made in small, consistent steps. Practice positivity, practice gratitude, practice resilience. Finally, patience. Change won't happen overnight. It's a journey, not a sprint. Your mindset didn't form in a day, and it won't change in a day either. Remember, the power to shape your reality is in your thoughts. Start mastering them today.